Hi, friends. I've got a story to tell you today. It's full of surprises and feelings. I hope you enjoy it and stick with me until the end. Ready? Let's begin. It was Sunday morning, and soft sunlight was shining through the windows. Brenda was sitting in her home office, going over some work papers. As a senior manager at Boston Consulting Group, she was used to spending quiet weekend mornings working. The smell of her warm Dunkin' coffee filled the room. As she sorted through the papers, she looked out the window. A rose bush she had just bought from Whole Foods sparkled with morning dew. Last weekend, she had finally worked on her garden, and it was starting to look as nice as the house she bought, with help from her parents. There was still time before she had to leave for church at Trinity Church in Copley Square. Suddenly, her iPhone rang, breaking the calm. "Brenda, can you come over today?" It was her sister, Anna. Brenda sighed quietly at her sister's usual bossy tone. "I'm having brunch with the family. Mom's coming too. I ordered food from Legal Seafoods." An hour later, Brenda arrived at Anna's mansion. The large colonial-style house in quiet Brookline looked as grand as ever. A new Range Rover, her sister and brother-in-law's favorite, was parked in the driveway. "Welcome, Brenda," their mother Lauren said, smiling. She wore a shiny silver Tiffany necklace. Anna planned a lovely brunch. "She's really living the good life since she got married." Auntie Lynn. The twins, Kelly and Lauren, ran over in matching Gap kids' dresses. Brenda hugged them, though she felt that same uneasy feeling she always got when visiting her sister's house. Inside, the living room looked like something out of a magazine. A designer had decorated it. The marble table was covered with fancy food, lobster croissant sandwiches and truffle eggs Benedict. "I'm the star today," Anna said as she walked in proudly, wearing a new Louis Vuitton dress. She posed like she was taking a photo for social media. Her husband Michael, as usual, was focused on his iPad. "I've got exciting news," Anna said, holding a mimosa and a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne. "We're taking a family trip to Hawaii next month. Michael's company is doing great, and it's the perfect time." "What?" Brenda looked surprised. Anna smiled in a way that felt mean. "You're not planning to stay a busy single career woman forever, are you? You should spend more time with your family. You looked so tired when I saw you at Copley Place the other day." "Anna," their mom spoke up, sounding like she was scolding Anna, but really, she was just pretending. She was already busy taking photos of the food for Instagram. "Auntie Lynn, come to Hawaii with us. We're staying at the Disney Hotel in Oahu," said the twins excitedly. Hearing their sweet voices, Brenda decided to go. She had enough frequent flyer miles from a recent business trip anyway. "Yes, I'd love to. I haven't been to Hawaii in a while." The twins were already watching videos of Hawaiian beaches on their iPads. On the day of the trip, Brenda woke up early. It was 7 a.m. She checked her suitcase again to make sure she had packed her sunscreen and new swimsuit. She'd bought it at Walgreens the day before. As she confirmed her reservation on the American Airlines app, the Boston morning sun reflected off her MacBook. While munching on a bagel, she recalled last night, Anna's text message had only included a final confirmation of the boarding time and a casual note saying, "Tomorrow will be a wonderful memory, starting a fun family vacation." Today, though she tried to say it cheerfully to herself, something still nagged at her heart. Checking the time while reviewing photos of the White Hotel she'd looked up on TripAdvisor, Brenda loaded her Toyota RAV4 and drove through Boston's streets. The roads, usually congested, were clear on this Saturday morning. The car radio was broadcasting Hawaii's weather forecast. Boston seemed determined to match with its own humid weather. Boston Logan Airport was bustling with travelers. As Brenda wheeled her new carry-on toward the check-in counter, she overheard a family in front of her discussing their Disney vacation package. "Good morning. The 9:45 flight to Honolulu. Your name, please?" "Brenda." Brenda presented her platinum card. The counter agent's expression subtly changed. The sound of keyboard typing paused momentarily. "I'm very sorry, Miss Williams. Your reservation was cancelled in the system last night." "What? That's impossible. I have the confirmation email." The Brown party completed their check-in about 30 minutes ago. Her mind went blank. She frantically pulled out her iPhone 14 Pro and called Anna. No answer. Michael's number went straight to voicemail. Just then, A new message notification appeared on her screen. Take care of the children. We need some time. Then came a photo, the twins, sitting on a bench in front of the airport Starbucks. Kelly was clutching a pink teddy bear from Build-A-Bear. Lauren's cheeks were wet with tears. The two were holding hands, their expressions filled with anxiety and fear. Kelly, Lauren. Brenda ran desperately through the airport, her mind racing with questions. Why would Anna do this? Were the rumors about Michael's company true? Why hadn't her mother warned her? Excuse me, I'm looking for two 5-year-old twin girls, blonde, wearing Gap Kids dresses. She rushed toward the food court, asking passing airport staff. Messages from Anna kept arriving on her smartphone. The children are in your care. The 529 plan documents are in the safe at home. This is our last chance. Michael and I. Finally reaching the food court area, she heard a small voice. Auntie Lynn. The two were sitting on a bench beside the escalator, in a spot somewhat hidden from view. It's okay now. I'll protect you. The twins' bodies trembled in her embrace. Massport officials had begun gathering around. Mama said she'd be right back, Kelly's trembling voice said. Brenda had nothing to do but hold her tighter. They said they were going to take the shuttle bus, then Mama and Papa never came back. Lauren's words brought tears and anger to Brenda's eyes. Ma'am, could we speak with you at the security office? A man in a Massport uniform quietly approached. His badge gleamed with Logan Airport Police. We'll get some hot chocolate and cookies for the children, a female staff member added kindly, smiling at the twins. Her name tag bore the logo of a student ambassador program. Brenda checked her handbag for the series of messages Anna had sent. The cold, deliberate tone suggesting a premeditated act made her blood boil. Outside the window, a Boeing 787 bound for Hawaii climbed into the blue sky. Her sister and brother-in-law were likely sitting inside, feeling no guilt whatsoever. Brenda heaved a deep sigh. This was turning out to be a very different kind of family trip than she had imagined. 12 hours after the incident, an exhausted atmosphere hung in Brenda's living room. They had just returned home after the police had confirmed that Anna and Michael had boarded the flight as scheduled and arrived in Honolulu. Their credit card records showed they had checked into the Hilton Hawaiian Village. I can't believe it, Brenda's mother, Lauren, exclaimed. She had rushed over, apparently leaving a church women's group meeting midway. Her usually perfectly styled hair was disheveled. That Anna would do such a thing. Just then, Brenda's iPhone rang. It was a detective from the Boston Police Department. Miss Williams, have you heard any concerning conversations from the children? Brenda recalled the twins' words at the airport. Yes, Kelly mentioned that Mama and Papa were fighting about money, and I believe Lauren did too. The next morning, after dropping the twins off at the nearby Brookline Public Schools, Brenda headed to Anna's house. A police search warrant had been issued, and Brenda was permitted to accompany them. A uniformed officer led them to the second-floor study. Take a look at this. Masses of documents were found in the drawers of the expensive leather desk, piles of unpaid bills, credit card statements, and financial records from Michael's company. The rumors about the company's financial troubles in the Boston Globe were true. Brenda couldn't believe her eyes when she saw the Fidelity account statement. The 529 plan set up for the twins' education had been reduced to just $1. Over $500,000 in funds had been withdrawn over the past 3 months. The closet yielded box after box of Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton items, many still with tags attached. Anna's Instagram had been filled with carefully curated posts portraying a picture-perfect family life. But behind that facade, she had been consuming the twins' future. Brenda, there's this too, the officer said, handing her a torn envelope. Inside were bank statements from the Cayman Islands. Miss Williams, another detective called from across the room. We've found significant transfer records under your mother Lauren's name. Just then, Brenda's smartphone vibrated. It was a message from Trinity Church. When she answered, her mother's voice came through, strained and panicked. Brenda, something terrible has happened. Anna took the women's group fees and used my name. As it turned out, Anna had also served as the treasurer for the church's women's group. There was a high possibility of fraud there too. She had been embezzling membership fees, using Lauren's name. This was completely premeditated, Brenda told the police. Hours later, Brenda sat in her living room, compiling all the evidence. Stacks of printed records lay spread across the coffee table. The house was quiet except for the muffled hum of the twins' cartoons in the next room. The magnitude of what had just unraveled was finally settling in. Her mother was being interviewed at the church, and the twins were safely attending their after-school program when the Boston Police Department detective called again. "We've discovered something significant. It appears they had no intention of returning to the mainland." Brenda caught her breath. "What do you mean?" "We found one-way ticket reservations to the Caribbean." That night, Brenda made up her mind. Spread across her dining table were reports for the police, FBI, Child Protective Services, and Sarah Cohen, one of the nation's top child abandonment attorneys. "Auntie Lynn?" Lauren's voice came from upstairs. "Can we go to school tomorrow too?" "Of course." Brenda smiled at the twins. "Life will continue as normal, I promise." Opening her MacBook, Brenda sent the final report to the police. Attached were screenshots of Anna's Instagram posts portraying the perfect mother, photos documenting the airport abandonment, and records of all financial transactions. She was determined to fight to protect her precious family. Today, the FBI officially joined the investigation, treating it as a serious child abandonment case. The detective's final words only strengthened Brenda's resolve. Outside the window, Boston's nightscape glowed quietly. On the table lay the twins' after-school craft project, a hand-drawn card that read, "To our beloved Auntie Lynn." Looking at those words, Brenda heaved a deep sigh. Early morning, 1 week after the incident, Hilton Hawaiian Village, top-floor suite, Oahu. Anna was enjoying her morning coffee on the balcony. Looking down at the azure sea, she was scrolling through her phone, selecting photos to post on Instagram. "Anna, we need to talk," Michael said, walking up with a tense expression, clutching his iPad. "About the company, everyone." Just then, a knock echoed at the suite door. When they opened it, more than 10 law enforcement officers stood there. An FBI agent stepped forward and began reading their rights. Outside the window, an ABC News helicopter circled above. "I have nothing to say. Let me call my lawyer," Anna said, maintaining her elegant demeanor until the end. However, the tickets to the Cayman Islands were found in her Louis Vuitton bag. "This is a federal crime," the agent said coldly. "You're charged with interstate child abandonment, embezzlement, and money laundering." 2 weeks later, U.S. Attorney's Office, Boston. Brenda sat in a conference room, meeting with federal prosecutors. "Miss Williams, we have sufficient evidence," said Jessica Morris, a seasoned prosecutor with over 20 years of experience. "Particularly the misappropriation of education funds. This will decisively turn the jury against them." The conference table was stacked with evidence. Logan Airport security camera footage, accounting records from the church women's group, internal documents revealing fraudulent practices at Michael's company, Anna's history of deceptive social media posts, psychological evaluations from the twins' counselor, Fidelity 529 plan withdrawal records, financial documents bearing forged signatures from their mother, Lauren. Jessica Morris continued, "We'll charge them primarily with federal child abandonment, and add fraud charges for the misuse of education funds and embezzlement for the misappropriation of church finances. We'll also include document forgery for falsifying Lauren's signature, money laundering connected to the Cayman Islands accounts, and conspiracy." The courtroom fell silent. "I admit to everything." Her confession began in a trembling voice. "At first, when I learned about Michael's company's critical situation," she paused, "but that's no excuse. I abandoned my children." Her testimony lasted 3 hours. "It all started," she said, "with my pride as a mama influencer. I misappropriated the girls' education funds to maintain a luxurious lifestyle. I embezzled church donations to cover loan payments. I forged my own mother's signature to take out more credit." She took a long breath. "And finally, we devised an escape plan, a new life in the Caribbean." The courtroom remained utterly still. She looked down. "At the root of it all," Anna said, "was my hatred for Brenda's stable, independent life. I couldn't stand it. I wanted everything she had, but easier, faster, and shinier." Michael, who took the stand next, echoed her confession. I admit to everything. The company had been nearly out of money for 2 years. His voice was quiet and empty. But I couldn't tell Anna. I didn't want to ruin her lifestyle. Lauren was the last person to speak for the prosecution. She sat in the witness chair with a heavy heart. I trusted my oldest daughter too much, she said sadly. I let down the church members, hurt Brenda, and most of all, I hurt my grandkids. On the day of the sentencing, the courtroom was tense and quiet. Anna, the judge said firmly, you have broken the deepest kind of trust. You left your children, lied to your family, and even tricked your church. After court, reporters gathered outside for a press conference. This isn't something to celebrate, Brenda said softly into the microphones, but justice has been done. What matters most is that the children are safe. That evening, Brenda and the twins walked through Boston Common. Auntie Lynn, Kelly said, we'll always stay together, right? Yes, always, Brenda replied, squeezing both of their hands. We're a new family now, and we'll move forward together. 2 weeks later, Brenda went to visit her sister in prison. When she saw Anna sitting behind the thick glass in her orange prison clothes, she paused. Anna no longer looked like her old self. Her once glowing skin looked pale. Her well-kept blonde hair was now dull and thin from the prison shampoo. Brenda, Anna's voice was rough. I did something terrible. Yes, Brenda said quietly. She had thought for a long time before deciding to visit, but deep down, she knew she needed to do this, to face it all and find some peace. How are the kids? Anna's eyes filled with tears. They don't want to see you. I understand, Brenda said, remembering the counselor's advice. The twins still needed time to heal. The clock ticked softly. They only had 15 minutes. In that short time, both sisters thought back on their childhood, their rich family, and how things used to be. Anna had always been the one their mother expected so much from. Brenda had grown up in the background, quiet and unnoticed. Remember when we were little, in the Back Bay house? Anna said faintly. I wish we could go back. Later, Brenda walked alone through Boston Common. It was early autumn, and the air was crisp. She thought about the new life waiting for her at home. The old guest room had become a bright and happy bedroom for the twins. They had matching beds from Pottery Barn, colorful bookshelves from IKEA, and fun curtains from Target's Cat Jack line. Auntie Lynn, is this really our room? Kelly asked, eyes wide. Can we stay forever? Of course, this is your home now. Brenda hugged them gently. The adoption process was going well. The court supported Brenda becoming their legal mother. There were changes at work too. Boston Consulting Group was very understanding. Brenda could now work flexible hours and sometimes from home. A new job position was being considered for her. Support also came from unexpected places. Jennifer, a single mom who lived nearby, helped with school pickups and drop-offs. People from Trinity Church brought home-cooked meals. A school counselor paid special attention to the twins' feelings and needs. Time will help heal, Lauren had said. Even she had changed. Through her church volunteer work, she had found new meaning. Now she baked cookies with the twins every weekend. 1 year later, it was early summer. Brenda's backyard was filled with laughter and joy. The twins were having their 6th birthday party. There was an organic cake from Whole Foods, fresh lemonade, and kids from the neighborhood playing happily. Happy birthday, Kelly and Lauren. The twins smiled brightly. The fear and sadness once in their eyes were gone. That night, after the party, Brenda sat in the garden under the stars. She smiled quietly to herself. On the table were essays the girls had written. The topic was my family. They had started with the words, "To my beloved mom." Anna was still in prison, working hard to turn her life around. Michael was in another prison. Their divorce had been finalized. Sometimes letters arrived for the twins. Brenda saved them, unopened, for the day the girls chose to read them. In her desk drawer was a letter, an invitation to dinner from a kind pediatrician in Boston. He had met Brenda during the twins' checkups. His warm personality had touched